they oh, it's soft.
It's nice, yeah. That light's a must. You can't see the eyes if you don't have that light.
But now, how do we get a camera on the other person now? Can't.
Alex got from. We can put Wayne on.
Could we hook up another laptop?
I think we should have on this one. Carrie or
Carrie, can they not both share it?
because they've got to sit. See one sitting here. One will sit here. I think we should take one of the chairs out, don't you? So it could be a bit squashed. Yeah.
But then surely if they use my computer, they can.
Oh, can you want to? Adios. What started is so excited.
No one else.
As you do.
Okay. So is Wayne going to sit there? I see we've got feedback. Okay, that's not for me. Does Ella not want to come and sit in here?
No, that's fine.
You happy?
Sure,
happy?
she can drink with me.
Happy?
I'll look
Wayne, you're
after
over
her.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, what a joy to have space. Our previous,
Good where you were before when we did the last one.
yeah, but it was really tiny. Yeah, those webinars. That office, the problem there was we had terrible,
Acoustics.
yeah, and we had terrible aircon. So it's been so day one. Hey, Wayne, I just want to be sure. Which is Wayne's? Four. There we go. Okay, and I'm one. Yeah. Okay, so Wayne, just a small little thing. We must put our headphones on.
Okay.
It's early still, so I like to get ready at 20 past if we can. Okay, there we go. So let's when you speak on mic, if you have a look there, there's a little orange thing.
Yeah.
So you get that. That's directly close. Okay, all happy?
The only change is that Dr. Mzaka can come on Riverside.
Sorry,
The doctor can come on Riverside.
not in Riverside. So we'll phone him. He sent a number.
Yes, I
Okay. You WhatsApped it. Okay, thank you. Thanks, did you? Brilliant. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 082. Is she only coming in at past, or is she coming in? No. I'd prefer her in from the beginning. It depends. I mean, if Carrie wants to come in or not, it's not a. So Fridays are very relaxed. So we have a lacquer, just a jibber jabber, as you can see. Everyone's now having a little bit of
No lekker.
a little bit of wine.
And
Okay.
yeah, so we'll be chatting just more the e-toll.
Yeah, definitely. All about. I mean, really, the story. The
Absolutely.
did you? Where's the e-toll? The transport MEC. Okay, brilliant. And then there's okay, Bright Rock. All good. All hundreds fixed up. Okay. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. You know, we've been making miracles with our other studio. I said to Dudu often, to have achieved anything out of there has been quite extraordinary. Okay, so we've got him on, Dr. Mdladla. Dr. Mdladla. Okay. Right. Is Michael I've got the numbers. Carrie sent me the numbers. They're not able to do Riverside. Okay, that's no fun. So but we never tried. You never tried to get hold of them, huh? Okay, it doesn't matter. We don't need them. We can phone them. That's the second half. No, it's not going to be. Just be careful on the.
And I got my yellow dot.
Okay. Carrie. Beyond.
Yes, it's on silent. I need it for my notes. My phone and Wayne and I need a thing of murder.
Bring them wine, of course. Let them drink.
Yes, I need to take pictures of us.
Let them.
When you send us pictures, I can put this all over my thing to say this is my
Make sure my phone's off.
Oh. What have I done here? Oh, that's. Am I not on that? It's on the.
Ellie,
Yes,
if
ma'am.
somebody wants to listen on FMR, what is it on DSTV or whatever? Channel what?
Helen will have a glass of that as well, I'm sure.
DSTV.
Helen.
I can tell you quickly. But they can just go on businessradio.com. It's much easier. FMR, DSTV. Okay. DSTV. There we go.
BizNewsRadio.com.
That's it. Fine Music Radio Home. DSTV channel 838. Yeah, it's so much easier. Actually, it's even better to go onto YouTube and then they can see us. Shall I send you? I'll send you the link. Jetty, who fiddled with this? Because I was actually on the other one. Somebody decided to, we had this all sorted out earlier.
We've got space.
General webcam. Oh, it's that webcam there. Okay, we're going to stay with that webcam. Clearly, no, somebody didn't like the other webcam. Why I like that one is that I can do. No, it's not better. Is that I can do switch it around. But now we've got these guys on today, so I see that was the clever idea. Okay, get it.
So just to make sure that this arm doesn't.
Okay. Yep. 7:27. Ready to rock. Carrie, I just need to get your headphones on and get your microphone direct. If you could. You just have a chat in your mic.
I can hear you. I
Yeah,
can hear
but-
myself.
No, but
Can
you're
you
not
hear
good.
me?
You're not good. Bring
Put
it
it up.
closer. Yeah, a little bit across. Remember, it's that little orange.
I've
you're
got
hiding
my
yourself.
orange thing right here.
You're
Okay, you need to
hiding
bring
your
it
Can you hear
down.
me?
Yeah.
So,
Down.
okay, bring it down. I can't see your face so well. So take it down, Carrie. There we go. Okay, talk now.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Okay, a little bit more.
Down more.
No, talk more.
Talk more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it's fine. I'll just push you up because you've got a soft little voice tonight.
I've always got a soft little voice.
Okay, there we go. You can hear it. Now, don't forget that what we've got is noise cancellation thing on. So as a result, if you're going to go off microphone, you'll
You're
go
not gonna
like that.
hear,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's hence the headphones. Is it okay, the headphones? You okay?
Perfect.
Cool.
All good.
Laka. All right. And then I'll send you that.
You send me that link so that they can.
Okay.
Got a whole lot of people who want. Nicky van der Walt is very, very famous,
Mm.
and everybody wants. I've got lots of scratchy
Oh, is
something.
this going live?
Yeah. We're on FMR in Cape Town,
Mm-hmm.
BizNewsRadio.com, which is streaming, and then on YouTube. And it's quite cool. Hello everybody on YouTube, all 7 people that are there tonight at the moment. We usually have certainly over 100, but there's like many more who
Watch it after.
hundreds, who watch it after. Okay, we're ready to go, guys. Let's have a lovely show. Our first
Thank you.
one in the new studio.
Great.
Yes.
Good luck.
Great, thank you.
Stand by. Business Power Hour starts in 25 seconds. "15 seconds. 10 seconds.
The BizNews Power Hour.
Welcome to the BizNews Power Hour, where we give you the rational perspective on business news that matters. Well, good evening to you. We're in a brand new studio here at the Solid Gold Podcasting Hub, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg, as always. But we've got a very special guest in studio with us tonight, my old pal from school, Wayne Duvenage. Wayne, geez, you must be celebrating today.
Well, it's not quite over until the formal announcements are made, and you can see that government is backtracking.
Until
a
the
little bit.
fat lady sings.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
there were some good nuggets that came out of that speech from Mama Bola.
Okay, so we're going to have a good chat about that in a little while. Wayne, of course, apart from being a alumni of Newcastle, where we both grew up, is the man who started OUTA. And OUTA has been fighting for how many years against
9
ETOLs?
years.
9 years.
now, yeah.
9 years against ETOLs. We'll get that whole story for you in a little while. And of course, this being Festive Friday, who other than Carrie Adams is in studio? Let's hear the little voice.
Hello, Alex. Can I tell everybody what your new nickname is? We're calling him Tiger Hog, actually, because he shot the most amazing round of golf today.
Well, you know, Wayne, what happened was I gave up golf
Mhm.
when I went farming in 2009, and I've only been back for 6 months.
Yeah.
And struggling. And suddenly everything clicked today. It was one of those days that
One of those hallelujah days. You have one every 10 years. Don't worry.
I
You've
know.
had yours.
Never again.
well, I believe that it's the beginning of great things.
What
So
did you break 100 or something?
I shot
Brag, Alec, come brag. I know what you did.
I shot 87, and off my handicap, I can tell you that's incredible. 52 individual points. It's like
Well, you won all
impossible.
the
Never heard of
prizes.
that. It was just friends.
And he
Just
wasn't
like,
cheating. I have it on good authority that it was straight, honest stuff.
Just to play like that when there's a competition
Yep.
on and win the big prize.
You're right. It was not good timing, but my goodness, my coach, WhatsApped her quickly to let her know that.
Her? Does Mrs. Hogg know that your golfing coach is female?
Lee Middleton is the best coach in the world. Mrs. Hogg, whatever. We're also going to be talking to Dr. Nati Mdladla tonight. He wrote a fabulous piece on BizNews all about the vaccine story, why South Africa sat back and didn't go out and get the proper vaccines. Then it got the AstraZenecas, and the AstraZenecas didn't work that well, and then it gave them away. And anyway, it's a fantastic story, so we'll be talking more to him. And then, Carrie, you got a fellow wine guru. I call you my wine guru.
I've got my darling friend and colleague of many, many years, Michael Fridjhon, because it is next week is Old Mutual Trophy wine time again, and it is the premier wine competition in the country. And Michael is convening and hosting the 20th anniversary of this, still hosted by the same and sponsored by the same Old Mutual. They've done a fabulous job. So we've got Michael on that and what to expect from judging wine in a COVID space, which is, the logistics are enormous. And then we've got such hot property because we've got Nicky van der Walt, who is entrepreneur extraordinaire, restaurateur. He's just a really, really cool guy. And he's just opened Tang, which is the hottest, fastest, bestest, I think most expensive restaurant to go to in Gauteng at the moment.
And you get into it.
We got in.
You got in?
If we want, you can go if you like.
Okay. Well, we'll first have to win. I'll have to, get new suits or something. Being Newcastle boys.
Or maybe we could spend some of that money that we've been keeping in our ETOL fund in case we got called upon to pay the 40,000.
Well, come on, Wayne. Tell us
I
about
thought you were
this.
paying that over to OUTA.
Well, that we could.
Tell us about this story, the whole OUTA story. 9 years ago, I know you are have always been kind of a concerned citizen, an active guy. You're not compliant. Even from a young kid, you weren't compliant. I suppose you could say you were naughty, but
Challenge
not
the
really.
system.
Yeah, you ask questions, and I love that. I love that about you, and that's, I guess, why we've been pals for many, many years. But why do what you did, which was go out there on a limb and take on government as a white guy in a country like South Africa, where immediately you get branded a racist if you say that the ANC is doing anything wrong? What got under your skin so badly that you had to start OUTA?
Well, in those days, it was a business issue. And as in my role at Avis, this scheme was just going to be so. It would heavily impact on the way we operate and the way we bill. In fact, we had to change our whole billing process. We had a live billing process, and we had to bill a day late, and now 24 hours. I mean, once people fly out the country and you can't get money, you've got to bill them while they're there with their credit cards, especially international tourists. And it just frustrated us that government didn't do anything. So I was angry from a business point of view. And we decided, managed to convince the whole industry this was a fight that had to happen. And we started. And once you start these fights, you can't pull out. And it became far bigger than I initially envisaged. And we had to stick to our guns. And then government lent heavily on business. They capitulated. And we were left with a decision. Do we just close this down? By then, we'd learned so much more about the scheme, why it was wrong, why it was going to fail, and why we had to try and convince initially government to change their minds. And if not, we had to convince society that this was their fight and they had to become civilly disobedient. Now, to start a civil disobedience campaign
In South Africa.
Yeah, in a new democracy. And we know that civil disobedience was the order of the day, and you have to break bad laws through civil disobedience, like the past laws in the past. So it had to, and it can be done, but you have to compel and give society the moral courage that is required to do that. And that's not a half-day job. And I was going to board meetings, and the corporate world and the media were phoning. Sandral's just put out a media statement. We need your response. And I'd be saying, I'll get back to you tonight. And then we saying, no, we close. We're going to print at 4 o'clock. We need your store. It was just a mess. And I'd been doing my role at Avis for 5 years as the chief executive, done some really exciting stuff in the sustainability and service excellence space, but I needed a change. So I guess it was a timing issue. It was time to do something different. This required full-time attention. I didn't know where it was going to go. I sat down with my boss. We negotiated a little bit of an exit package. And I said, if government should come to its senses in 6 months to a year, then I'll get back into the corporate world. And well, that never happened. And this thing became far bigger than I thought. And looking back 9 years, it's been an incredible journey of really close shaves, of having to close down almost 3 or 4 times, of getting the funding model right, and just showing the public they have power and they have strength and they've used it well. And we've brought the scheme to its knees.
Unbelievable. Well, why we are talking like this is because of a statement that, an interview that happened on SAFM this week. I'm going to just play it so that we can hear exactly what the MEC for Transport in Gauteng had to say.
Jacob Mamabolo, just a few moments ago, the Gauteng Transport MEC, I asked him this question. And then I got to ask you about e-tolls, MEC. The Transport Minister said this week an announcement is imminent. That was 2 days ago. How do you define imminent? When do you expect an announcement on e-tolls?
Well, Steve, we expect it as, it's an announcement that should have been made. So you can understand where we are. Is that we are already in our state of mind, and just in terms of our legitimate expectations, already living in the post-e-toll period. We are already, believe that any announcement is imminent, but to us it's as good as, because even the ministers in what they've said, they talked about good news. So imminent good news to us already means we look into a completely new e-toll dispensation, and we're just waiting for that to be formalized. But where we are, there's not turning back on the e-toll. The e-toll are a thing of the past, and we're just waiting for that to be formalized and to be confirmed.
So they're being scrapped?
They've been scrapped. The people of Gauteng should not be burdened with paying for national roads that serve all of us.
Yeah, so there we go. Okay, so they've been scrapped. So your journey is over or not?
Well, until they are formally scrapped, look, it's not in his position to make that announcement. It's got to come from the minister and cabinet. But what he said, Alec, he's let the cat out the bag. He mentioned the ministers. He's close to them. He understands what's going on. And when asked the question by Stephen Curtis, his response was they are being scrapped. So we've got to take that as the gospel. Well, not the gospel, but that they are being scrapped in the background. The gospel comes from the minister himself. And now for the minister to backtrack and say, no, we're still deciding and we're deliberating and looking at the permutations. You see, when you read their media statement, you say, how's this possible that you've been telling us, you've missed all your deadlines, that the decision is imminent? In other words, the announcement's imminent. When you say the announcement's imminent, you've gone through all the deliberations, you've got your solution. Then the MEC says the decision has been made, it's been scrapped. For them to now sort of give him a hard time on that, and to say that the scheme is not scrapped and they're still going to make a decision on it, it's just a mess.
Yeah.
But I think we know that the decision to
Well, it's over because it has been it has been preempted by Mamabolo, but we know what's going to happen. You, however, at OUTA, you've got to wait until it finally happens. But the big thing for me on all of this, Wayne, is that it's civil disobedience in South Africa, which has not been a popular stance until recently. Now we're seeing for instance, we spoke this week with Willem Petzer, who started the Taxpayer Union of South Africa, because he says that you got to start getting value for money from your taxes. And the only way to do that is by taking municipalities and government to court on particular items. That's in like 2 days, he got 13,000 people signing up for it.
Yeah.
Then we had earlier this week, Gideon Jabir talking to us about the gun lobby in South Africa, where we are no longer supposed to have firearms because government says you shouldn't have them, but you can't be protected by the
police,
securities
yeah.
at the moment. So it's almost like you've broken ground, and winning this impossible to win battle will be giving a lot of encouragement to others.
Absolutely. You know, we are afraid as citizens, especially middle class, to go on protests, to go on civil disobedience drives. But what we are learning and what citizens are realizing is that they have power and they must use it. And if you use it constructively and in a way that legally you tick boxes, and that's what's happening in local government space, where we're also playing a big role in enabling organized civil society to take on local governments and to take back the power of running those municipalities, unless those municipalities work for their citizens. So this e-toll matter has been an incredibly good learning journey. And the people now realize that they can stand up to government, they can stand up to irrational laws, they can stand up to abuse of power, and win. And this is a big win for society. But we don't want to try and push the cork back into the champagne bottle. So we always wait for the formal announcements. But once that's made, but we've always said to people who say, well, but e-tolls are still here. We say it's not really here. It isn't. It's failed. The people have already made the decision for government. It's not working. If you think it's there, it's as if you're on the dance floor all on your own. The music's playing, the lights are on, but there's nobody there. Nothing's happening.
So what is OUTA? What is OUTA outside of e-tolls? That's how you started, but I know the organization has evolved.
Yeah.
For instance, how many people are there, and what are you doing to fulfill the ambitions of your supporters?
So for the first 4 years, from 2012 to 2016, we were known as the Opposition to Urban Tolling Alliance. That's how we got the acronym. And we were asked very often by our supporters, why just tolls? You know, at that stage, and Nkandla and state capture was just gaining momentum. And we sat down and said, sure, I'll tell you what we will do as a committee and as an executive team is let's think about this request by so many supporters and saying, we will go beyond e-tolls. There's a lot to do in the fight against corruption and maladministration. So we formed a very focused mandate against people in power who abuse our taxes, changed our name from Opposition to Urban Tolling Alliance, kept the same acronym because we were well known already as OUTA, changed it to Organization Undoing Tax Abuse, and set out on formulating our mission. And it was to take on the Dudu Mnyenis, the Brian Molefes, the Anosh.
Geez, that Dudu Mnyeni case was amazing. Carrie, did you follow it at all?
I actually couldn't watch her in there. It was just too nauseating.
It was a brilliant case. We started
Honestly,
that
couldn't
court
watch
case
it. Yeah, it
was
was brilliant. But
extraordinary.
she is a piece of work.
Oh, you mean you're talking about the Zondo appearance? But actually, if you think about it, had Dudu Mnyeni not been imposed on South African Airways, we would still have South African Airways today.
100%.
It was a great airline. It was filled with professional people. They were doing a great job. And she came in and purged them. So you get the likes of Sylvain Bosk and Wolf Meyer and all these people understand the commercial workings of running and technical workings of running an airline. Gone within a few months of her being there. They were purged by her and her team, put all her lackeys in, and crashed that airline within 6 months.
But in your court case that you went to the High Court with, the unpacking of all of that, the way she intervened in very good contracts that had been signed, or had been the one with Emirates, for instance, that she wanted money. So because she wanted to line her pockets, she crashed that whole contract, and look at where we are today.
Well, we got information from a whistleblower, Cynthia Stimple, you know, she's quite famous, came to us and said, this is what's going on. So the first thing we did, took her information and very quickly stopped the BNP Capital deal. Now, this was a little deal done on the side with a boutique little finance house, and the Treasury Department within SAA says, this is the work that we do. We are salaried for this. Why do you want to go and pay 249 million Rand to BNP Capital to do work that we do? It was crazy.
Well, we
So-
know why.
Yeah, exactly. So we stopped that very quickly. We told Duvenage, if you don't withdraw this, we are interdicting. We had the papers lined up. So they called our bluff, and we had it all. And we went to court, and then they said, "Okay, cancel that deal." And then we sat down with Cynthia, and said, "What else has been going on?" And so we started getting this information, and said, "Well, we can lay charges, but these things just get lost. We've been laying quite a few charges against various ministers and that. Let's do something different. Let's raise our own case, a civil action case against her, and have her declared a delinquent director. Because the pain of that takes her off all the boards. Remember, Zuma was in power then. We didn't know whether she was going to be moved to Eskom or moved to another board. Let's stop her from getting onto any board, in private or within government. It was a long journey. It was an expensive journey, but it was a worthwhile journey. She is now in CIPC. She can never register to be a director anywhere.
Where does Cynthia live? Is she living in Kathmandu or something?
No. She lives here. She's very active in the whole whistleblowing space. She's doing an amazing job.
She is amazing.
We've had her on the show.
I hope she's got bodyguards and.
Yeah, I think I think she's safe.
It's now. The thing with whistleblowers is until they've blown the whistle, that's when the danger is. Once they're out in the public domain, it's game over, because there's no point in bumping someone off if they've already told everything they had to say.
Yeah.
May I ask a question? What of the people who have already paid all their e-tolls to date? What's going to happen to all that money?
I'll tell you right now, just to finish the question. So what have we done? 209 projects since the e-toll project. 44 staff we have working at OUTA. These are legal specialists, investigators, project managers, comm specialists. An amazing team of 45 people or so that have helped these 209 projects get going. A lot of them, 40 of them are still open, because there's always closed projects. As we close projects, new ones are opening. At any one stage, you'll have about 40 projects open. Some take years, some take a few weeks. Really good stuff. And the Gupta leaks helped us a lot. Now, coming to that question, a lot of people say, well, I've been paying my e-tolls. I've been a good citizen. So if this thing is scrapped, I'm expecting my money back. Well, the short answer is never. You will never get that money back.
We know that.
But not because, and they asked us, will you fight for us to get it back? And the short answer is, you needed to exercise the moral courage and join the civil disobedience campaign, because the more people that do that sooner, the quicker the scheme capitulates. The second thing is, they weren't doing it unlawfully. In Sanral, there's a law that protects them. So they were charging lawfully. We were breaking the law. And the people who broke the law had to suffer the consequences. Remember, there were summonses coming. We were threatened that our vehicles wouldn't be licensed. And these were real worries, but we had to test that and fight that. But to get to the test, you have to stop paying. So you got to be this morally courageous, active citizen that defies the law, and you face the consequence. If we had to go to jail, we would have gone to jail. As far as OUTA goes, we said that this is right in the beginning when we started breaking the law on that. And we are the people, the citizens who've been part of the civil disobedience campaign, have brought it to its knees, not those who've paid. So we can't fight for them to get their money back. Sanral's broke. Sanral's not going to give them the money back because they weren't doing anything wrong. So the chances of them getting their money back is almost zero. And there's another thing. Most of the people who've been paying are corporates, big fleet companies. They've passed those costs on to the consumers. So that horse is bolted.
Well, we're going to be talking a little more with Wayne, but now it's time to pick up with Dr. Nicky Mdladla. Hello, Doc. Thanks for the story that you wrote on BizNews about vaccines. It's been extremely well read in the past week. I guess the obvious question is, now that you look at where we are today in South Africa, are we making progress? I know less than 1% of our population are vaccinated. Is there any hope?
Good evening, Alec, and good evening to your listeners. Thanks for having me on the show.
Sorry, Doc. A couple of things. Would you mind just switching off your speakerphone and just speaking straight into the phone, if you don't mind? It's giving us bad feedback on this side. How's that?
Okay, let me just check something.
That's much better. We got you much clearer. So where to from here?
Well, I mean, I think on the side of the rollout itself, it's obviously going to be a big challenge and probably slow moving at the beginning. And hopefully they do get their ducks in a row and eventually catch up. One's aware that there's obviously a lot of work being done with varying views as to how much should the private sector, the independent sort of companies and so on be involved in trying to bolster the rollout, with some obviously within government or sort of not keen to have that done, as they obviously seek to have control over it, especially with the NHI in mind. That would be sort of the best thing for them to do.
And you do articulate very well in your story the whole vaccine development, how we in South Africa sat back initially because we weren't as badly affected as the rich north, so the government never secured vaccines, but then secured the wrong vaccines and so on. It sounds like just an awful muck up.
Well, I mean, I suppose, to call it a markup is probably one way of looking at it. But to me, the main issue has been about how we've approached most things. The one thing that one is to remember is that obviously we are different to other countries. And I think we failed maximally in trying to sort of at least recognize how different we are. And then whatever we do, at least try and factor that in. And with the vaccines themselves, the biggest challenge for everybody actually, and more so for us, has been to know what you need to get for your own country. The one benefit that South Africa has always had, even from the beginning of the pandemic, is that we've always had an advanced amount of time to actually learn from other people. To me, I think by the time we sort of got to sort of your AstraZeneca and even the current Pfizer vaccine, there was already a lot written out there to say maybe we need to change and think differently about how we're going to procure ours. And I think to be put under so much pressure to, as I say in the article, get something that's potentially going to be ineffective, nobody knows. We're all going to learn this in time. But probably not really necessary because the studies already come out. And I had asked the issue or the question around, let's say, just the mutations in December already to some people that are heavily involved in the vaccines. And I said, what will happen if these come out? And at that stage, the thinking was that it shouldn't really affect anything. And I said, well, I think based on basics of microbiology or virology, it should matter. So if we're going to think about procuring this, we should actually factor that in.
So why did you write the article?
The article came about, like many other things that I've written, just because I'm involved in discussions. A lot of people, again, that are involved in these things. And one shares your views on your concerns and so on, mainly with the aim of helping and channeling sort of discussion and thought so that the country at least benefits meaningfully from this. I've sort of been partially involved in the vaccine rollout map as well in one of the work streams. So it's sort of a side thing. And the discussions that were happening, I sort of realized from the beginning that the main drive was just on getting the vaccines and almost a way of making sort of the country or suppose some people look good in just accessing the vaccines. And from the beginning, I had sort of a few concerns around that. Number one being, we just recently borrowed almost 570 billion rand of money. And if we are going to procure or buy any vaccine, we need to make sure that we're buying the right one. And if there's a right one, it should go to the right people that actually deserve it. So my feeling from the beginning is that we couldn't do a UK type thing or a German type thing. There had to be something different that we do. And because we also had this advanced amount of time that we had, we could plan better. And we should have actually, in my opinion, invested more time in planning. So I had been agitating and discussing all of these things, but there had always been a tendency to dismiss. And almost like if you voice something that's sort of different, you considered somebody who's trying to drive the wrong sort of narrative. And I say, but I'm not against the vaccines. I actually vaccinate myself regularly. But I'm just trying to make sure that the country invests in the right tools.
Dr. Nati Mdladla, and it's a really good piece. I'd suggest you go on to BizNews and go and have a read of it. Wayne, you guys have also been focusing on that, and that's really appalling what's happened. Not the vaccine side, but with all the rip-offs on the pandemic. How big is it? How bad is it?
It's just so sad and sick, for first of all, and morally corrupt when you know, in a time of emergency, when you need every cent to get to where it's got to go, whether it's public, whether it's protection or vaccine, you know, sanitizing schools and so forth. There's so much work that has to be done, and yet people just put their fingers in the till and they start overcharging and providing poor services and providing zero services for overpriced equipment and so forth. So it's been billions of rands that are lost to the country.
Are you able to track any of it down, or have court cases, or come on, Carrie? I'm sure you've got a few people that you'd like to see strung up by the necks.
I've got stories. I think we've all got stories that make our toenails curl.
I think the SIU are doing a good job there, and the Auditor General. There's some good work being done, and we're working with them.
Okay, and what are the other big focus areas for OUTA?
Well, the moment OUTA is a big one. Government wants to introduce a scheme that's going to be worse than e-tolls from a failure point of view. It's just not workable. This whole demerit point system on your driver's license, if you get traffic fines and so forth.
OUTA, AARTO.
Yeah. It's adjudication of administrative traffic offences.
It's where you go when you need anything to do with the traffic department.
It's just a mess.
I go to payfines.co.za.
Yeah, but that's all being controlled now by central.
Okay.
And then others is the long distance toll routes. We've been asking SANRAL to be transparent. And what happens in public-private partnerships, if there isn't transparency, there's money flowing, and we want to know where the money is flowing to. And there's private companies we believe are making billions out of us. In other words, we believe those tolled roads, those toll fees that you drive down to Mpumalanga or Durban up to Limpopo should be reduced or can be reduced. And the profits that those private concessions are making is exorbitant. That's our claim. To verify that we need the information, and guess what? They don't want to give it to us.
Of course not.
This is madness.
To be fair, though, that road to Natal, which I travel quite regularly, is in pretty good condition.
Yeah, it is. No one's saying that it's wrong, and that's good.
And I'm told that it's really expensive to maintain a road of that nature. But I mean, you know the story, you know the numbers.
Well, the trucks, if you consider how bad Transnet is, and the traffic that the trucks, the pounding they must be giving to that N3.
And they're public, they're companies that are entitled to make a profit, but what is a reasonable profit? 15%, 25%?
You work in the liquor industry, you're lucky if it's 5.
Yeah, we just want to know.
How many mouths are feeding? How many little bites are being taken? That's South Africa's dreadful record, particularly with BEE, is that there's rent seekers who are injected in between, often in the Zuma administration, required. If you wanted a contract, you had to put this person, that person, the next person, or those organizations within to literally just scoop rents.
Which is why it costs us more than 2 to 3 times the price to build a simple road in this country. That's wrong.
Really?
Doing that.
The
Gauteng freeway improvement upgrade at a max, and we got engineers on that, should have cost about 9 billion rand maximum. We think they could have got it at 6. They paid 18 billion rand for 185 kilometer upgrade, not a new road, an upgrade. It's a resurface of that much and an extra lane. I mean, we were ripped off. We challenged SANRAL on it, and they try and poo-poo this, but it's serious stuff.
Well, you can be sure that activism is alive and well in South Africa. We've been talking with Wayne Duvenage, the chief executive and founder of OUTA, which this week should be celebrating because the MEC for Transport in Gauteng has said e-tolls have scrapped. They're not going to carry on. But you're not celebrating yet. You've told us why. I'm sure you will celebrate when it finally does come out. It's the top of the hour now. And at the top of the hour, we pick up every day on the BizNews Power Hour with what's going on the news front and on the markets. So let's kick off first with our editor-at-large, Jackie Cameron, who has this flash briefing.
Total assets invested in South African collective investment schemes ended the first quarter of 2021 at a record 2.9 trillion rand. That's according to the Association for Savings and Investments South Africa. However, the majority of investments made in the year ended March 2021 missed out on the strong stock market recovery, with most of the money going into interest-bearing portfolios. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange was at a 3-week high at the end of the week as industrial stocks powered it up. Shares in MTN, the largest mobile operator in Africa, broke through 100 Rand for the first time since November 2019. Over 600 South African companies were liquidated in the first quarter of 2021. This is a sharp increase from the first quarter of 2020, but a similar number to that seen in 2019. The liquidation statistics were released by Statistics South Africa. Germany will recognize colonial-era mass killings in Namibia as genocide and offer 1.1 billion euros in aid as a gesture of atonement. German and Namibian negotiators concluded an agreement on Friday after more than 5 years of talks. Germany occupied Namibia from 1884 until 1915. Bitcoin slumped to wipe out most of this week's advance as Bank of Japan Governor Haruhiko Kuroda warned about the token's volatility and speculative trading. The digital currency lost 7% to trade around $35,700. This recalls levels seen in last week's crypto meltdown. Bitcoin is now flat for the week after a run that has seen prices swing between $33,000 and $39,000. The threat of tougher regulation continues to be a drag on crypto market sentiment. China and Iran have cracked down on Bitcoin mining operations for using too much electricity. There's also speculation that US policymakers may increase financial oversight given the market's growing size and intense volatility. That was your BizNews Flash Briefing. I'm Jackie Cameron for BizNews. For more on those and the other big stories of the week, visit biznewsradio.com.
Well, it's a very interesting update there from Jackie Cameron. But now we'll get the markets with our Nadia Swart.
BrightRock believes that with every change in life comes opportunity, and the markets aren't any different. The daily movement in the markets mean change for us all, sometimes small, sometimes big. This daily market report is made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-meshed life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Well, Nadia, nice to see you on this Friday night. Glad you aren't
And you.
everybody, all your pals.
Oh, goodness, no, the youth, I left that for my 20s. I'm growing up now.
Okay. So what happened on the markets today?
Okay, so the JSE All Share Index was up today at 67,555. Barlow World was up by 15% to 119 Rand 33 cents per share. The Fashini Group was also up by 7% to 133 Rand 39 cents per share. SAPI was down by 4.5% to 43 Rand per share. And Mediclinic was down by 2.4% to 64 Rand 31 cents per share. In the currency markets, the Rand was flat against all the major currencies to 13 Rand 75 to the dollar, 19 Rand 51 to the pound, and 16 Rand 77 to the euro. Gold is steady at $1,895 an ounce. Brent crude is steady at $69 a barrel. And the premier cryptocurrency will put you back 505,000 Rand a Bitcoin.
Thanks, Nadia, for that update, and go and have a wonderful weekend.
Well, thank you very much. You as well.
This market report was made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-meshed life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Give me a glass.
Well, Carrie, you've got a very noisy background here with Nicky van der Walt.
In the restaurant with Nicky. Nicky, Nix, how are you?
It's service. Fine, and you. Sorry, it is Friday. It is service.
It is Friday.
If it was anybody other than Carrie, I wouldn't have done this interview.
Nicholas, thank you so much for taking time out to speak to us. And we won't keep you long because I know that it's a Friday night service.
No problem.
Next, just for everybody out there to know why we're talking to you, on the 18th of May, we got a brand new big star in the sky in Gauteng because you opened the doors of Tang. I know it's been a dream of yours for a long time. Tell everybody you can brag. You've got big bragging rights. Tell us about Tang, Nix.
Well, you say it's been a lifelong dream. And first, thank you for putting me on the show, having me on the show. Tang, for me, I fell in love with the site, ironically. I started the site long before the concept. I remember when I was 21, I came here on a date with the girl. It was a Valentine's Day dinner. I think Wang Tai in the day was like the place to be.
Was it
and I remember-
Leanne? Was it your wife?
No, I'm not going to disclose the name.
Nicky.
Very long. That's 20 years ago.
Okay, good. We'll forgive you.
And I remember sitting and I looked at the site and I just loved it. It was the perfect size. It wasn't too big. It wasn't too small. And I thought, fuck, at that stage I had Premium Platinum Rosebank. I thought, one day, life has got a very strange way. And the site came. The site came onto my radar about 18 months ago.
Yes.
And I always wanted to express myself in the Asian narrative.
Yes.
I often refer to Zuma. For the listeners who don't know, Zuma is a
fabulous
izakaya.
restaurant.
Amazing, probably the best
in the world.
izakaya in the world, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And but again, that was just focused on izakaya, Japanese food, and then I've always loved Hakkasan, which is a very sensual Cantonese eatery. The original,
Yes.
the original one opened up, and I wanted to fuse the two. I hate to use the word fusion, but I wanted to. In reality, Japan and China are not really the best of friends, but on a menu, they actually perfect soulmates.
Yes.
And the whole idea of cooking on robata, which is basically, for lack of a better explanation, a braai. It's a Japanese
braai.
It's a Japanese braai, and you've got those beautiful flavors, strong, big, bold flavors. You've got the misos, you've got the teriyakis, you've got the fast spice,
Yes.
and what I set out to do was to create a balanced menu whereby you've got a lot of acids, you've got a lot of sweets, and I think the chef that I've that we put
Who
in
is
charge
your
of
head
chefing-
chef? Tell us who is your head chef.
He's a genius, Chef Victor Kalinga. He's a Congolese gentleman.
Yes.
We met 2 years ago when I started toying with the idea of doing I was going to do just a pure izakaya, which was no focus on Cantonese, and I thought to expand that as the concept grew. But he really is the star of the show.
Yes.
I can run around and do flip-flops and chat to people and customers and make them happy, but at the end of the day, what we set out to create here is not just a beautiful, enduring, long-lasting restaurant, but we want to be known for the food, and he's nailed it.
He
He's
definitely
nailed it.
has. Well,
He's nailed it.
My interest was piqued because mutual friends of ours, dear friends that we share, the Hamilton Russells, invited me to lunch at Tang on Tuesday, and I've actually been champing at the bit to come. And of course, when Oliver and Anthony invited me, I said, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Is that a little bit of name dropping? Hamilton Russell's just a
Just
tad.
a touch, but Nicky and I have both been friends
Well,
with
I
them
like
for
to
many,
brag
many
they are
years.
They are godparents of my children. So
I think that
I'm very
I
biased.
think that they brag about knowing you, Nicky. I think. Anyway,
I love them to bits.
they're gorgeous, and they hosted a lunch at Tang on Tuesday. So it was my introduction, Alec, to this restaurant. And in his inimitable fashion, Nicky van der Walt is his energy is palpable. Nix, can I tell them he's gorgeous to look at? So anybody loves looking at Nicky, and I'm sure
I'm getting a bit grey now.
Leanne won't mind if we say that on air, but he's really good to look at. He's clever, he's innovative, he's energetic, and he's put all of that
Making me blush.
into a big, well, that's why we're on radio. Nobody's going to see Nix. Just blush away. He's put it all into this restaurant called Tang, and of course Tang, for those people who don't know, is actually a Chinese dynasty, isn't it? I mean, it was a dynasty
correct.
that sort of reigned around about 600 or 700.
It was the golden period. It was the height of sophistication.
It was learned, it was intellectual, it was cosmopolitan, it was academic, it was a huge growth period in Chinese history. And I think that you've managed to encapsulate all of that in your restaurant, but somehow it's not up its own it's actually a really comfy environment that you feel you could just sit and order one delicious little course after another. The food was brilliant, Nicky.
Gary, what you say there is like so true. What I set out to do, I didn't want to create an intimidating space. I wanted to create a luxurious space. I don't want a pretentious, I know when someone says pretentious or pretentious, but I don't want to create a pretentious space. I wanted something that is homely. And the whole izakaya concept is rooted in that. Izakaya, for those people who don't know, is a Japanese pub. Not pub like we know, McGinty's or something like that, but it's an informal place where there's as much focus on food as there is on drinks.
But it's not
And having
it's not
said
a
it,
kaya,
no,
is
it's
it?
comfort food. It's comfort food.
Yeah.
And I think, I wanted to set out a place where, it's comfortable to come to. You can come here 3 times a week. You can come have a miso soup. You don't have to blow the budget. Come have a miso soup and a glass of wine. And we've got a wonderful selection of
You got a
wines by the glass.
fantastic wine list. I love your wine list, but then we're allowed
so
to
this is-
brag because it's all
We're gonna
Norman
go there.
Goodfellows and whatever. But it's not all Norman Goodfellows.
No, but let me tell you, this for me, Carrie, when you say, this is a deeply, deeply personal project for me.
Yes, I know.
Everything, if to the last detail, there's not a single thing that, I didn't take,
Yes.
pride in,
No,
even
you've
to
been
the last-
amazing, which is why I wanted to talk to you. And I wanted everybody to know it's a much awaited thing on my list.
You're amazing.
And I'm just so unbelievably chuffed that we've got a Nicky in Johannesburg who is lifting the bar. I mean, there are a couple of you, but you're one of them. So that we're not the sort of ass and Charlie, when it comes to Cape Town restaurants and Gauteng restaurants.
You know what? I think, for me, I wanted to do this for Joburg. I think,
Well, you've done it.
I'm well traveled. I'm not bragging, but I am well traveled. I've been all over the world. I've lived in Cape Town. I know most of the top restaurateurs. And, the whole thing about Joburg, we're not a fine dining scene.
No.
But having said that, we are casual. The market is hungry for casual fine dining. And it's actually what we set out to do. It's quite
It's
difficult
exactly what you've encapsulated. You've encapsulated
because, we're
casual
doing
fine
dining. We the food is on a level of fine dining, but we're doing it for 220 packs per night.
Yeah.
And that is a difficult feat to do.
Yeah.
And, as I said to my chef, if we've raised the bar, we set the bar extremely high, which is what we wanted to do. And the hard work now is to maintain it because I'll be damned if I let it slip.
Well,
I just want
don't.
to get it better and better and better and better.
Don't. You have created exactly what you set out to create. Anybody who has not tried to make a booking at Tang yet, if you're in Gauteng, make that booking at Tang. It is sensational. It's comfy. It's cozy. It's casual. It's top draw. It's absolutely just what we needed in Gauteng. Nicky, thank you so much.
Before you go,
Oh, wait,
Nicky,
Alec
Nicky,
wants
I
to
want to know
Yes.
if I can afford your prices. If I bring my wife out for a date night, what is it going to cost me?
The menu, the wags on the menu specifically, as I said, you can come for dim sum. Dim sum will cost you 100 Rand. You can come for miso soups and it'll cost you 8 Rand. You can have a wagyu. What we've done, which, royalty misunderstand, we're not just an izakaya, we're sort of a grill house as well because we've got the Robato grills. We focus on South African sourced wagyu beef. We're not flying the beef in from Australia and USA. Our meat is fantastic. So we've partnered with Woodview Wagyu. So you can have a steak for $200, or you can have a steak for $500.
Or you can have that
so-
Peking duck, which
Peking
I want to
duck.
leave home for. It was
Yeah, I
gorgeous,
think that-
Alec.
And what
It's
does that cost? Peking duck?
Half a Peking duck will cost you $3.95, but a half a Peking duck's enough for 2 people.
Yeah.
So if you and your wife, which I think is great value. Yesterday I had a meeting with Paulo dos Santos from Quintessentially, and he ordered half a Peking duck, and I brought it, and he said, "But I ordered a half." I said, "That is a half a Peking duck."
No, it was huge and it's delicious. Jeanette won't because she won't eat the duck.
I think it's relative good value for a luxury
It's
product.
fabulous. Nicky, you've done a great
And
job.
where are you? Where exactly are you?
We are Nelson Mandela Square, the iconic.
Okay, on
right behind
Sainton.
Madiba.
Got
It
right
looks
behind.
out over the
Smashing.
whole square. It's
Okay, so we
fabulous.
know, Carrie, date night.
Date night. I'm going to phone you and book a
Mm.
table for Alec to take Mrs. Hogg.
Wow.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Nicky,
that'd be
thank you
amazing.
so much. And
It's
and
been an
good luck.
absolute honor to be on your show, guys.
Good
Thank
luck
you so
and
much. And you
congrats.
guys keep up the good work as well.
We will.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nicky.
Have a
Bye.
fabulous evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's amazing. I never knew they were allowed to do Wagyu beef in South Africa. I thought it could only come from
No.
is it Japan?
You know
where it
what makes
started?
it Wagyu is the way you rear it and all of that. You massage it and you feed it beer and you do all those sort of things.
Mhm.
And I remember going to visit Anthony Rawbone Fridjhon at in Elgin. And he had a Wagyu herd. I think he was one of the first in South Africa at Oak Valley Farm in Elgin. And I also didn't know that you could have Wagyu in South Africa, but you can. It's the way you rear them.
And how do you rear them?
As I say, you massage instead of putting your jammies on and going to bed at night with Jeanette. You go into the cow shed and you massage their little calves and you feed them beer. And
And then
all
you eat
kind-
them.
and then you sell
Oh,
them
no,
to be
sis, man.
eaten. Oh, God.
No.
Making us sound absolutely ghastly.
Michael Fridjhon is on the line. I wonder if he would go and massage something and then eat it afterwards, Michael.
Well, I presume you're talking about Wagyu, and it should be said that I remember in an original Ian Fleming, which I think was, hang on, You Only Live Twice or something like that,
Yeah.
that he, Mr. Tanaka, who is the Japanese gentleman he deals with, tells him about Kobe beef and about how they massage them with gin and
that sounds
feed them on beer. So from a childhood memory, I thought that if there's such thing as reincarnation, I think I might book myself a place in the Hock.
How are you, Michael?
I'm very well. How are you?
We good. Thank you for joining us on the BizNews Power Hour. I just suddenly, when I saw it the other day, I suddenly thought to myself, how remiss of me. It's that time of the year. It's our premium wine competition of the year in South Africa. And I hadn't asked to speak to you. And it's the 20th anniversary of the Old Mutual Trophy tasting. So tell us all about tasting in COVID times.
Okay, so the tasting will start next week, but having managed last year's tasting much later in the year because of the lockdown, we kind of geared up for COVID, crossed our fingers and sailed into it, and seemed to have emerged in late August last year unscathed for last year. But that was, of course, before the second wave, and now, of course, before the third wave. So there are all sorts of things that we've had to do differently, from, as you can imagine, spraying every single box that gets delivered, 700 or 800 of them, whatever it is. People constantly wearing, the teams that work the back office, wearing gloves and masks. We moved down our own team. So we literally, it's very bad for employment in the Western Cape, but we took people that have been in our bubble and moved that bubble down to the Cape, and they have to stay in the bubble, and we run it on that basis. And it will be our staff that actually do the pouring and the handling and the logistics, because this is something that you put awfully close to your respiratory tract. You can't taste wine, you can't, for that matter, taste spirits without getting into the very high risk zone. So we do everything we can, from the washing to the handling to the pouring. The protocols are tough and tight, and obviously we sincerely hope that they will be good enough. This afternoon I discovered that one of my spirits judges was diagnosed with COVID earlier this week, which is an unpleasant shock. He's in, it's real.
It's very real. It's very real. I've heard of a lot of people who have got COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we last year and this year built back up judges into our teams. So it was a quick rejig of the panels for that day's judging. And we hope we hope we're not getting any more than that, and that we will manage. And I'd much rather know well in advance than have somebody arrive and share with us.
And where are you doing the tasting this year? Are you back at the Grand Roche?
No, we're not. And there are a whole lot of reasons for that. We're at the Western in Cape Town itself.
Okay.
The hotel has been wonderfully accommodating, which probably wouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. The space there is good.
It's
the
work,
very,
I would imagine.
Yeah, the space is big, and there's nothing else happening there. So we can spread through that whole conference area, which is wonderful. The problems at Grand Roche were both historical, it's needed a lot of investment, and COVID is not a great time for that. And then the logistics also changed. So it's the first time in 20 years that we haven't been at Grand Roche. And I think that this is a way forward for us as well. We need that kind of space, and COVID will be with us next year as well.
You're going to be with us forever, I think.
Yeah, we need to be in space that we can be absolutely confident about in terms of spreading people out, managing the environment, and managing the cleaning and the washing and everything that goes with it.
Michael, how many entrants did you get this year? I know it's normally sort of upwards of 1,000 entries that you
Yeah,
have
I
to
know.
make
Since
your way
since
through.
COVID, even since COVID, even last year, this is, around 700 for wines. The spirits entry, in fact, is up this year, and that'll add another 150 or so. So it
That's
is a
good.
busy week. It's very nice. And to be quite honest, much as we would have liked another 100 or 150 to be in line with where life was before COVID, we know there's been a serious attrition in the industry, firstly.
Yes.
And secondly, given the COVID protocols, a little bit more time to do everything and not rush the days and not make people, get up that much early, that much longer, have more people doing more things.
Yes.
It's worked out fine. It's the right way to do it. So we
you've
haven't
got,
pushed hard. We've
and you've got
taken
how
what we
many
need.
judges?
So we have got nine for spirits, which is the final day,
Yeah.
and 9 for wines for the first 3.5 days. So it's 3 panels of 3 judges each.
Okay.
And this year, we have taken a bit of a chance because we could do no associates at all last year. And we've got a wonderful crop of people who have been through the Wine Judging Academy
Yes.
and have now been deprived of any judging opportunities for 1.5 years.
Yes.
So we're bringing in associates, and we're bringing them in to be part of the bubble. So it's a big
Fantastic.
investment, but that way at least we hope, building up the capacity that we need. I mean, the extraordinary thing, apropos of the Wine Judging Academy, is that it's been running now since, I think, 2007, and it has produced such a strong cohort of now senior judges
Yes.
that the fact that we couldn't have internationals on the panel
It didn't
this year,
matter.
and in fact last didn't matter. We really have got real depth of talent, real knowledge, real experience, and people who understand what we're aiming to do.
Yes.
And so we do really have that depth of talent, which we wouldn't have had 10 years ago. It's
I
been
know,
a big
and again,
difference.
all thanks to you for putting that academy together. I think, gosh, I can remember going to do that thing in that academy, probably the second year or third year that you were open, and I had the
You
most
were very
shocking
brave.
flu. I had the most shocking flu. I couldn't smell or taste anything. Anyway, it
You
was.
still did pretty well,
it
Carrie.
was-
Let me tell
it
you,
was
if
a-
that's what you do when you can't taste,
It was a
you're all right.
brilliant. It's a brilliant initiative. That whole thing, because it really has done exactly that. It's taught a whole load of people who would otherwise never ever have known how to judge. So that's that. We've got next week going on. It takes a little bit of time for all the results to come out. May we sort of avail you of some more time when you have your results, so that you and I can sit and have a more in-depth conversation about the results, because I think it's going to be very telling of all kinds of things in the wine industry, what these results are going to be.
I'd look forward to that. We're probably about a month from that. In other words, we'll get the judging, the auditing, the checking, the guarantees
Yes.
that the wineries have the stock, the Wine and Spirit Board and the SAWIS folk who check off the volumes, the certifications, all the other guarantees that when you get that Old Mutual sticker on your bottle, it is indeed
means
from the
something.
batch
Yes.
that was judged, because lots of wineries bottle 3 or 4 different batches, and you don't want the stickers landing up on the bigger volume when they make up the smaller volume for a wine show. So there's all of those things that have to be done. But by the end of June, and I'm afraid it will have to be a virtual awards function, because nothing in this Old Mutual is correct. They just think that putting a whole lot of people in one place is not COVID friendly.
Michael, before you go, I've been dying to ask
Yes.
you this question. Your father, Harold, the late
Yes.
Harold, was one of my mentors. I worked with him at the Rand Daily Mail, many years ago.
You would better not mention how long ago. Yes.
Indeed, it was a while ago. But I often wondered, he was such a brilliant financial journalist, such a brilliant human being as well, why you went into wine and not into this honorable profession of ours of financial journalism.
Well, I went into the honourable profession of wine journalism.
Because it's nicer to drink.
It wasn't
Was it more
considered a
fun?
family business.
So
But he certainly was a mentor in terms of writing. Even when I was a kid at school and writing essays, he was the same, I'm sure, with you about how long a sentence should be, how clear your ideas have to be at the beginning, how you should make sure you wrap it up at the end. All of those things were kind of inculcated from an early age and no doubt contributed. I've been writing about wine now for nearly 50 years, which is an indication of having started at school more or less. And I think without being able to verify this stuff, I think I run the longest running weekly wine column in the English speaking world. And that certainly goes back to the second half of the 70s. So it's been a long time. And it's probably through the good fortune of having had Harold as my father leading me on the way.
I can't think of a better father.
He was a legend. And did you ever meet Mrs. Fridjhon?
I think I did. What's her
gorgeous.
name?
Edna. If you met her, you'd remember.
Definitely remember Edna.
Little, short.
Tiny.
Yeah, that's it. I did meet her.
Pocket rocket.
I can see Harold now, and it's many years ago. We were very privileged those days at the Rand Daily Mail. We had Howard Priest, who was a former chairman of the Oxford Union, who was our financial editor. Then we had Harold Fridjhon, who was an absolute doyen, and in mining was Adam Payne, who was also a doyen. So you had, and then Fred Ingram, who was our sub-editor, who was in a league of his own. It was an incredibly fantastic place to learn.
Yeah.
And
were
Harold
you
was a big part of it.
still at Main Street, or had you moved to Diagonal?
No, it was it was actually Moy Street. It was Moy and Main. Yeah, it was the crappiest building in Joburg. It was the bad part of town when
post the implosion of 174 and 171 Main Street.
Well, the funny thing about that building, the only thing I really remember about it was that it had a lift shaft that was far, far higher than the highest top floor, because the old South African Associated Newspapers they scoped the building out and then couldn't afford to make it as big as it was supposed to be.
You need to know that the building across the road, the old 174 Main Street, was the original building. And that certainly goes back literally to my childhood. We'd go down on a Friday evening to fetch the old man from work. And that was the original sandstone building. Then, quite right, they built across the road and they put this huge lift shaft there. And that was as they moved away from hot lead printing as well. The old print works was over the road at 174 originally, and then it all went electronic. And that building at 171 was a nightmare. It was jerry built. They were trying to expand from a 5 or 6 story building and ran out of loot half the way, which I'm afraid was the sad story of San anyway.
Yeah, and it got worse from there.
Oh, Michael, as ever, it's just so entertaining and gorgeous talking to you. We love you. You are one of our big, big national treasures. We're going to catch up with you again very, very soon after the results come out to tell everybody about the fabulous work of the Old Mutual Trophy Wine Show.
I look forward to chatting then. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Well, it was fun getting some history about a horrible building that I stayed in. It was all glass as well, Carrie. So it was hot as Hades in there.
I'm trying to remember
poor
which
air
building
conditioning.
that
You don't
was,
want to
actually.
remember it. It was. I hope they've knocked it down. I've got a horrible feeling they haven't. But anyway, and who was with us as well? Helen Ziller was was one of our star reporters. Amin Akawaya, the late Amin Akawaya. Wow, it was a incredible privilege to work for Alistair Sparks, who was the late Alistair Sparks, who was the editor then. But we're not here to reminisce. We're here to tell you it's been Festive Friday.
Weekend.
It's the weekend. And, well, next week, have you got anyone lined up yet?
I actually have got somebody lined up next week.
Okay, but you're not going to...
I'm not going to tell you who.
You're not going to leave
It's a very nice interview. I've only got one so far.
Okay, well, we'll be in our brand new studio. And thanks for being with us tonight, because we're actually here in our new studio. I hope you can hear that the sound is a heck of a lot better than that little shoebox that we've
And
been
we're not
walking.
sitting in a hot box. And we're not standing in a hot box. We're
Yeah.
sitting in a comfy chair like we're in our lounge suite. I hope you enjoyed joining us in our lounge suite this evening.
And you did. And Carrie's got a bottle of,
I got
a
my
glass. It's only one glass,
Just
I
a glass of
suppose. You aren't slurring just yet, but we'll give her time. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back again with you on Monday between 5:30 and 6:30. Until then, cheerio. You've been listening to the Power Hour, brought to you by the team at BizNews.